Your friends might not tell you about this because they might feel too guilty about it to actually share that information with you. Hi moms, my name is Liz. I'm a midwife and an author and the mother of two beautiful little twin girls who are currently 4 years old and keeping me on my toes all the time. In this video, I want to talk about 12 unexpected things happening to you in that first week or so when you go home and that nobody might have warned you about before. So the very first thing is hair loss. When you've given birth, your hormones are all over the place and they fluctuate, and this change in hormones carries on for a little while postpartum. And one of these effects is that you have a massive hair loss. You can comb your hair or just run your fingers through your hair and they can come out in hands full of hair. This is normal. It is very stressful for a lot of moms thinking that they're going to go absolutely bald, but your body just needs time to adjust and to just get past all these fluctuating hormones that stimulates hair growth. And then once you've given birth, there's a massive drop in hormones and you start losing all of that hair. And the research does look favorable for collagen supplements. So do your research around the supplements that you have available in your local context. Ask your local groups or communities of moms to recommend their favorite products for you to use. The second thing, still on the hormones, is that you can experience a very low libido or sex drive once you've given birth, especially if you are breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is known to suppress the sex drive. For some moms, it's 4 weeks. For some, it's 4 months. For some, it is 18 months. I can't tell you when your libido is going to come back. If you are breastfeeding, you can expect it to only start really returning when you stop breastfeeding. It's not the case for everybody. If you're not breastfeeding, I don't know when it's going to come back. Just know that it's very normal that your libido is going to be suppressed for a little while. So still on the hormones, getting out of the shower can be an unexpectedly messy business. So say you are breastfeeding. I remember getting out of the shower and not knowing what I need to do first. Do I need to cover the boobs because you are lactating like crazy because of all the nice warm water in the shower? Do I need underwear on with a pad because you're still bleeding, you're postpartum? Where do I start? And then at the same time, right in the beginning, my nipples were very sensitive, so I really didn't want a towel rubbing lightly on it. It was insanely sore if that happened. So you quickly get out of the shower and you make sure that you lined up all the pads that you need. It's completely normal, but you are used to showering, getting in, getting out, and that's it. And it's a very different thing to get out of the shower postpartum and suddenly you have no control over your body that's just leaking fluid everywhere. Okay, and I'm going to stick to the hormones for one last time. The day 3 baby blues. Oh, it's a real thing. Your hormones are at an all-time high when you give birth. And then they plummet. And you feel that plummet normally around day 3. You will see these moms are happy and hyped up on the first 2 days and it's breastfeeding and the baby is so cute. And then the sleep deprivation starts kicking in. Perhaps feeding issues, perhaps she's got a little bit of pain, and then those hormones dip. And by day 3, I would walk into a room and I find this poor mom absolutely in tears. She's not a good mom. She doesn't know what she's doing. This baby is better off somewhere else. And it's horrible. It's a complete down and low point many moms experience. All I want to say here, it's hormones. It is not you. You might feel all of those emotions, but it's hormones that are influencing you to feel that way. And normally what I did, I would take the baby, this is in the hospitals, I would take the baby with me to the nursery, tell her to get some sleep, bring her a cup of tea, close the door, switch off the light, and tell any visitor that shows up unexpectedly and not arranged beforehand that she's currently sleeping. I'm not going to disturb her. And let me tell you, a proper 2-3 hour nap later, and she feels much better. So just ride the wave. All I can say is just, experience the emotions, cry, get it out, but just ride the wave and it will pass. And then another thing, and your friends might not tell you about this because they might feel too guilty about it to actually share that information with you. But it is so completely normal to get to a point sometimes, the thought pops into your head that you really miss your old life. You miss sleeping in. You miss just sitting down watching a movie. You miss being clean and not constantly covered in baby vomit. You miss not needing to shower 2-3 times a day because you feel like you're just like smelly all the time. Not listening constantly to a crying baby. It is so normal. And I still have days when it's just one of those days that nobody seems to be in a great mood, that I think to myself, oh, it's a Saturday morning, it's 6 o'clock. In my old life, I could sleep until 9 and nobody cared. Now it's 6 o'clock and I'm up watching Bluey because my kids are awake. And this also leads me to the next thing, that you might not love every moment. I often said when my kids were around 2-3 years old, I said to my husband, I really, really love my kids, but I don't like parenting. Like when you get the hugs and the kisses, it is, it's just the best feeling in the world. But the work part, bathing them, in the winter, and you have 5 layers and they don't want to bath, or they don't want to be dressed, or they playing the whole time, and it takes you forever to get them dressed, and pleading with them meal after meal, eat your food, please eat your food, bribing them with candy or threatening them to just put their shoes on now because I've already asked 3 times. I don't always like that. And when they're newborns, you obviously don't reprimand them for anything, but it's hard work and you're not going to love every single moment because it is non-stop. It's not like a job, and I don't think anybody loves their job 100% either, but it's not like a job that you go from, like say 8 to 5, after 5 you don't worry about it, tomorrow morning 8 o'clock you start all over again. It's not like that. It keeps going. You go on from 8 to 5, and then from 5 to 6 it's even worse because they might hit witching hour or something, and then you go into the night and you're not exactly catching up on sleep that you missed out. You go into another cycle of waking up every 2 to 3 hours, feeding the baby, and tomorrow morning you start all over again without having caught up on any rest. And in those moments, it's very normal to feel, geez, I missed my old life. It would have been so nice to just sleep in one day. Okay, so on a practical point, you might experience a lot of swelling once you've given birth. So a lot of moms might complain during pregnancy about their feet swelling up, but not a lot of them know that it can actually increase for a couple of days, even once in 1 or 2 weeks after you've given birth, just before you start losing all of that water retention. And again, it's got a lot of influence from hormones, but also remember, when you were pregnant, your blood volume increased, and your body is not going to get rid of all of that immediately. So it is very normal to have a little bit of water retention after you've given birth, as your body is now trying to figure out, what am I doing with all of this extra fluid that is still here? And slowly over time you start peeing it out. This is how you get rid of water retention. It filters through the kidneys go to the bladder, you pee it out. The only thing to watch out for, if you do have swelling that gets worse after you've given birth, if at any point in time it goes together with chronic headaches or high blood pressure, please have it checked out by a doctor. It might be preeclampsia. And then, something that not everybody will experience, but I see it being discussed a lot on mom groups, is, moms asking, how much is your partner helping you with the baby at home? And I pick up a lot of resentment coming out from moms feeling like they are doing everything and their partner is getting a good night's sleep, not helping with the baby, not feeding, not burping, not changing the nappies. So bringing a baby home can really put a lot of strain on your relationship. That is a fact. It's normal. I want to say not everything is normal, but there's so many things that are actually completely normal in that time. Like, from birth to about 6 weeks, there's a lot of things happening with you and your baby that can be completely normal, even though it feels like it is not. And the best thing that I can say is, if you are feeling any kind of resentment towards your partner, talk to them. See how you can split responsibilities. And remember, sometimes it is not necessarily them. Sometimes it is you. And what I mean by that is that you are so overprotective of the baby, which is also very normal, that you feel like you're the only one that can change a nappy, you're the only one that can bath the baby. So you don't necessarily let your partner do these things because you feel like you want to do it, you can do it better, you understand your baby better, or you just feel like you're also still learning. And at the same time, you feel resentful because they're not helping you, and in the middle of the night, if you get up and perhaps you're breastfeeding, they're not helping. There's not a lot that a partner can do if you are breastfeeding. And I actually remember one night, because I was breastfeeding my twins, and I would look at my husband lying there, snoring, sleeping, and I felt so incredibly angry at him, and I felt like, giving him like a kick in the bed or something. But at the same time, in the middle of the night, never overthink these things. There's a lot of bad emotions coming up at night because you're tired. And when I thought about it later on, I thought, am I going to talk to him about it? I realized it's going to take more of me. It's actually going to annoy me and be more of a problem for me if he has to help me at night, because the once or twice that I've tried, it took me longer to wake him up from his deep sleep than it took me to just change a baby, fed her, and put her back into a crib. I had to do very minimal burping at night. They were actually I was lucky in that regard. And then I just made the decision to say, listen, for my own sanity, as much as I don't like the fact that he gets to sleep, it was a lot easier for me to just feed one baby, change, feed, put her back, take the other one, change, feed, burp, put her back, than fighting for 15 or 20 minutes with him to wake him up, give him a baby to change, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's so sleepy, he's actually a hazard. So for me, that was a decision I made. That definitely doesn't work for everybody, so you make it work for you. I'm just saying there's a time that you might feel that you are doing a lot more, and you probably are because you're the primary caregiver. But it's not going to change unless you actually have a sit down and talk about how you can do this better together and what you can perhaps let your partner help you with. Where can you let go, or where they should just do more. Okay, this one is for you, it's for your friend, it's for your moms, sisters, everybody. Every baby is different. You are going to, but do not compare your baby with your friend's baby who is sleeping through the night by 3 weeks, or your sister's baby that is walking at 8 months. Do not compare your baby. Every baby is different. Your baby is going to do their own thing. There are obviously milestones that you are going to keep in mind, but milestones also have quite a wide range for what is considered still within the normal bounds. So just really try as much as you can. You're going to look at another baby and you're going to think, that they do that right, they do this right, or they do this wrong. Just try not to compare, because you're going to make yourself sick by thinking, is my baby okay? Is my baby normal? Is my baby supposed to do this? Is my baby not supposed to do this? Educate yourself on the milestones that your baby is supposed to reach. Read up on it. Follow a couple of accounts on Instagram about how you can stimulate your baby. Do your best. And then if you really have a gut feel that something is wrong, go see someone. But just because someone else's baby is walking before your baby or sleeping through the night before your baby is, doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your baby. Okay, so I've talked about hormones before, and it's just, touching back onto that. Do prepare to have a very emotional roller coaster for a couple of days to weeks even. As your hormones fluctuate and get back to normal, you are going to have the ups and the lows and the highs and the downs and everything. You might experience a couple of crying sessions along the way, and then extreme love. Like, it is so normal to go through an insane amount of emotions in one day. Just, again, back to everything that I said before, ride the wave. Just ride it. If you're not doing okay and you're chronically feeling low, see your doctor. They can always put you on something that is a little bit of a mood stabilizer. If you feel that it is getting worse and it's starting to affect your functionality, ask your doctor to recommend someone that you can see for perhaps postpartum depression. But just keep in mind that the first couple of days at home, you are freaking out. You don't know if you're doing anything right. You don't know. You probably don't sleep much, because if you sleep, you don't know if your baby is breathing. If you're changing a nappy, it takes you half an hour because you don't know if you're doing it right. You stress with bath time because you're so worried you're going to dunk your baby. Like, it's just, there's so much going on, and you sleep deprived. It is a little bit of an adjustment at home, but again, you're going to be okay, so just take it one day at a time. Oh, this one, a lot of moms don't know, but you are not going to have the baby and immediately get your flat stomach back. You are going to look pregnant for a little while after you've given birth. It's depending on a lot of factors, like how fit you were or how many babies you've had before, and many other things like how quickly you will go back to your pre-pregnancy body weight or not. But just keep in mind, you're not going to walk in with a stomach here, pop the baby out, and immediately be like beach ready. It takes time because the uterus expanded. If you are not pregnant, your uterus is about this big. So now I can imagine it hosted a 3 or 4 kilo baby with all of the water and the placenta in there. It's going to take time to shrink back to this size. So it's not going to be immediate, it's going to take some time. And then the last one is a little bit of a compassion comment, that you might look at other moms now saying, you know, they let their babies cry for a little bit or while they take a break or something like that, and you might think, how the hell does anyone just leave their baby to cry? Like, you're a horrible person if you do that. Let me tell you the flip side of the coin. Sometimes you are so overwhelmed by everything, you know, this baby is constantly demanding everything from you, and it was not all the time. I definitely was not, I mean if I count on my hand, it's probably like 5 times that I remember when the crying was so much, and these two just, you know, they're my twins, they fueled each other, and I've been doing everything I could, you know, the nappies were changed, they were fed so they're not hungry. I tried all the moves to get the winds out, like burping and stuff. And it got too much, and I realized in that moment, if I stay here any longer, I'm not in a good mental space. I feel like I want to pick them up and shake them and ask them, what do you want from me? And hopefully you know that shaken baby is a very, very extremely dangerous condition that babies can die from. So in those moments when I felt like I wanted to pick, like you would shake someone by their shoulders and ask them, what do you want from me? In those moments, I put the kettle on, I made a cup of tea, and I walked outside and I closed the door. And I sat outside for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I know it sounds horrible. I promise you, you need time at some point, somewhere, to take time for yourself. If I had someone at that point, I would have asked them to look after the babies. It was different. We had experienced COVID, and in our country, in South Africa, we were in what they called hard lockdown. So no one was allowed outside on the streets or go anywhere. So I had no one to ask. For the first 4 months with my girls, I really struggled. And those 10 or 15 minutes that I walked outside, I couldn't hear them cry. I just had a bit of fresh air. I took a sip of tea. I calmed myself down and I went back in and I was ready to deal with everything again. But that break is sometimes so important. So if you get to that point, if you don't, that's fine. That's fantastic. If you have people to support you, you don't feel like you need that break, that's also fine. But if you do, I want you to know it's okay to walk away for 5 minutes. Close the door, go somewhere where you cannot hear the crying, and you just get your head together. It's so overwhelming. Before you go completely nuts and lose your mind, take a moment away. It's really hard to take a newborn home, and there's a lot of things that you don't expect, that you don't know. People can scare you with their birth stories. You don't actually want to talk to a lot of people. So hopefully these can give you a bit of an idea if you go home that it's not such a shock. Things are happening that you didn't even expect or think could happen. So let me know in the comments what was the most unexpected thing that happened to you when you took your baby home that you really didn't expect at all. If you like this video, you might enjoy this one as well, and I'll see you in the next one.